Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to another video on an interesting topic. Before I start, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, and give this video a thumbs up, if you like it. ChatGPT has been a hot topic lately, and everyone seems to be talking about the amazing power of AI, and its uses. For some time, I have been trying to figure out a way to add Google search functionality in Microsoft Excel, as many times I search for functions and calculations, and have to often switch back and forth to try out the suggestions on multiple websites. When I started exploring ChatGPT from OpenAI, I wanted to figure out a way to add the power of ChatGPT into Excel, and find the answers to my questions without going to another browser window. After a lot of trial and error, and taking help from the ChatGPT itself, I was able to write a workable script in Microsoft Excel. So, in this video I will explain on how to use OpenAI's API to generate text in response to a question and how to integrate it with Microsoft Excel using Office scripts. I will be covering the following topics. 1. How to set up an OpenAI API key. 2. How to write a script to generate text using OpenAI's API in Microsoft Excel. 3. Demo. So, let's get started. Firstly, you need to have an OpenAI API key to use their API. You can get one by going to OpenAI's website and following their instructions to set up an account. Once you are signed into the account, click on your account name on the top right corner and select View API Keys. If you didn't create one earlier, you can create one using the Create New Secret key. Copy the key once generated as you will need it later on. Now, you need to create a new worksheet in your Microsoft Excel workbook and name it API. In this worksheet, you can store your API key in cell A1. Now that we have our API key set up, we can move on to writing our script. We will be using Office scripts to write this script, which allows us to automate repetitive tasks in Excel. I should also mention at this time that Office scripts is available only through a work or school account. I had tried using a personal account, however, that did not give me the option to create a script. However, when you sign into Excel using a work or school account, the option would get enabled. The script will retrieve a question from a cell in the question worksheet, pass it as a prompt to the OpenAI API, and then return the generated text from the API and write it to another cell in the same worksheet. You can use any name for the worksheet, just ensure that you use the correct name in the code. Now you can follow along as I go to the Automate tab and open my script. Now, let's go through the code. In this first section, we define the main function that will be executed by Excel. The function accepts a workbook as input. We then define a constant named OpenAI and assign it the value of the OpenAI API endpoint for completing text. The async keyword is used to indicate that the function contains asynchronous code, and it returns a promise that resolves with the result of the function when the asynchronous operations are complete. Next, we get the worksheet named API from the workbook, then get the cell A1 in that worksheet and assign the value to the variable API key. We then set the API key as the API key for the OpenAI API client by assigning it to the API key property of the OpenAI object. In this section, we get the worksheet named question from the workbook, then get the cell B2 in that worksheet and assign the value to the variable prompt text. This text will be used as the input prompt for the OpenAI API. Here, we set the model engine to use for generating text. In this case, we use the Text DaVinci 003 engine. 003 is the latest model in GPT-3 and the most advanced one as of now. We also define a constant named prompt and set its value to the prompt text. We explicitly define the type of the prompt variable to be a string, boolean, or number. In this section, we define a new headers object and set the content type and authorization headers to be used in the HTTP request to the OpenAI API. We set the authorization header to use the API key previously retrieved from the worksheet. We then create a JSON object named body that contains the properties of the text generation request. This object is then serialized into a JSON string. One thing to note here is that if you change the value of max tokens, the response you would get would change. Here, we use the fetch function to make an HTTP post request to the OpenAI API endpoint with the headers and body previously defined. We then wait for the response to be returned and assign it to the constant named response. The script is now ready, so next step is to save it and run. Once we ask a question, it will use the above code to return a response using OpenAI's API and return the response in the same worksheet, without having to leave the open spreadsheet. To run the script, I will write a random question in cell B2, and click on the Run button on the Office Scripts ribbon. This will run the script and generate the text. Office Scripts works on Excel for web as well as desktop version. On the web, I found it to be a bit slower. You can use it on Windows, as well as Mac OS. So, there you are with the response from GPT-3. Wasn't that awesome? I did not do a lot of formatting, and you will only see text in the responses. There should be a way to convert the response into a tabular format, but I haven't played around much with it. For me, this is still good enough, but you can go through the documentation for Office Scripts to change the output format and make it more presentable, or customize it as per your needs, by changing the parameters you provide to the API. I would recommend experimenting with the different GPT-3 models if you want to compare the responses. In summary, I came up with a simple way to use OpenAI's API to generate text, and use it for simple problem searches within Excel, instead of going to Google and browsing multiple pages to figure out an answer. By automating the process of generating text using OpenAI's API, you can save a lot of time and effort and in general, improve your productivity. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you found it helpful. What do you think are the potential uses of ChatGPT in your daily tasks? If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.